When we started this show, we were broadcasting out of Washington, D.C. Single-party Democrat rule broke our nation's capital, and it is sincerely tragic to see. I watched it up close and personal. D.C.'s most beautiful parks are now filled with homeless encampments, vagrants, and drug addicts. Trash lines the pothole-filled and gang-affiliated streets. Do not go into your backyard at night as an army of disease-carrying rats fester in every corner of the city. These rats are so big that if you put a saddle on one of them, a man the size of Dr. Fauci could ride it. My wife and I battled a rat infestation for years on our block, killing hundreds of them in our time on Capitol Hill, about a mile from the Capitol. Here's a photo of a rat I caught in my backyard and killed. It's the size of a cat. You could bring it home, put a collar on it, name it Fluffy. It's painful to accept, but outside the glistening monuments, the capital of our most powerful, first world westernized nation on earth looks and feels like a developing nation, a failed state. Mogadishu has more charm. An ISIS caliphate has more law and order. And that was all before DC defunded their police. Once that happened, my block, which is less than, again, a mile from the United States Capitol building, turned into a bloody war zone. First came the drugs and guns, which were sold on every street corner openly. Then a mass shooting took place at my front door. Here is our home video of it. It's not an episode of Cops. That's my front door. Someone getting shot a couple times and diving into my wife's rose garden. Then came the gang wars, which led to my neighbor's house being set ablaze by a drugged-out arsonist. Here's what that looked like. We lived in a row home, so in Washington, D.C., the homes, they share walls. So our home was directly connected to the house that is ablaze there in the images on your screen. As the fires raged inside my house, my terrified wife and newborn baby girl were trapped inside. It was truly terrifying as a nightmare. The worst nightmare any husband or father could imagine. Both of them could have died. And it was then and there that I knew that this was not just a run of bad luck. God was literally telling us to leave D.C. for good. Modern humans think that because we have luxuries of Wi-Fi and smartphones that we have somehow evolved beyond the simpletons of the Old Testament. Nope. The human condition is stubbornly the same, and it is the same as ever. And if God wants to move you, He will use the tried and true methods of pestilence, disease, fire, and literal death on your door. And like the modern-day Israelites, our family fled Egypt to our promised land, the state of Florida. Florida is the Polaroid negative of Washington, D.C. I live in Tampa Bay. You can see it right here behind me. Newsmax was patient enough to let me get my family settled down here before resuming and doubling the time of our show. We are very grateful to Newsmax for that. It was a tough move, but it's been wonderful. The streets here are clean and safe. Homelessness and vagrancy laws are enforced. And the only DC-sized rats that I have seen down here are Democrat members of Congress from blue states. Instead of defunding their police, Florida rewarded police officers with $5,000 bonuses to move here and make this state more safe. It's awesome. Instead of locking down, Florida remained open. And firing someone on the basis of their vaccine status is illegal here, as it should be all around America. The results speak for themselves. Florida has one of the lowest COVID death rates in the country per capita and the greatest economic recovery in the nation. Florida's freedom is as contagious as the Omicron variant, and that's why millions of Americans have decided to make this state their new permanent home during the pandemic. The sheer number of patriots moving to Florida has flipped the state's overall voter registration Republican for the first time in history. Florida is the America of America, and it's all due in no small part to a man with a spine of steel and balls of brass, Governor Ron DeSavage.